Man, I love traveling. I absolutely love doing this. I love doing this. I absolutely love doing this. I love living in this van with these two guys, Bella and Barrett. And I just love getting out here on the open road. I just left my friend's house near Houston, Texas. You guys know them as Travis and Yanai from Dream on Wheels. And before that, I left Florida from my mom's house. Both places I really enjoyed being at, but something wasn't there mentally for me, and that was doing this, being on the road, traveling. I am somewhere in Western Texas. I have no idea. I'm on the way to Tombstone, Arizona, and I just was in this euphoric high for most. When I got out of Houston and when I got into the open road, I don't like congestion and I don't like major cities. I just don't. It's just too busy. From now on, it's just a part of me. It's just a part of me that I can't be doing that. So I'm here at a Love's gas station. That's right. It's where I'm sleeping here tonight. We're going to get into the subject of this video, which is traveling, living in a van with pets, with dogs. I can't speak on cats because dogs is all I've ever lived with in this van. We're going to get into that in a minute, but I'm just going to talk to you guys about this euphoric high I am in living in a van. The vast majority, the vast openness and freedom of what is available to me is addictive. It's absolutely addictive. I get to do this every single day. I am going to fall asleep and wake up somewhere I never have been. And that's the normality, is it's somewhere I've never been or rarely, and I can move it a drop of a hat. This van life, it's scratching every itch. It's hitting every box of something that I want to do, and it's checking every box of the lifestyle that I want to live. Oh my gosh, I can't explain it, guys. I get to go to sleep right here tonight. This is also my couch. I get to watch television from here. I've got all my clothes. I've got dog food. I've got solar power. I've got a refrigerator. I even have a place to go, number one and or number two. And I own this. Nobody has a loan on me. Nobody has a contract, a lease where I have to pay them monthly to live in an apartment or rent a house. This is mine. If I don't like my neighbors, boom, I'm gone, I'm out, I leave. I only have to go 1/10 of a mile down the street and I no longer have those neighbors anymore. If I don't like a place that I'm at, I'm out. See you later. Can't whistle for some reason today. There we go. We got the whistle down. And I get to make the decision just like that. If I'm in Texas and I want to go to Arizona, see ya, I'm gone. If I'm in Arizona and I want to go to Oregon, I'm gone. Reminder, we're going to get to the things with pets here soon, but I wanted to touch on this first because this is what's on my mind. And what's on my mind is the future. I am itching to get back to Oregon. I've been thinking about this a lot the last week or two. Oregon is my heart home. It's where my heart belongs. Specifically on the coast, on the 101. Mainly because of the absolute beauty that's there, but it hits every box inside the springtime all the way to the fall, which is the temperatures are perfect. When it's extremely hot somewhere, I was on the coast in Oregon, Brookings, all the way up to Yachats, Oregon, and it was 65, 70 degrees. 20 miles inland, and it was 100 degrees. So I stayed there. And the service roads that I drive down and up and way back into the mountains, I've only discovered 10% of those. I've only traveled 10% of those, and there's so much more to see, and that place is calling me. Now, I can't spend all my time in Oregon because I want to see so many other places. So I will often be leaving Oregon, going somewhere, coming back for a couple days, or leaving and bringing you guys along with us for that. But that's where my brain is. I'm itching to get back to Oregon, but it's a timely thing. I don't want to go now. It's too windy, it's too cold, it's too rainy. I want to be there when I sleep comfortably in here and I just feel good. Gosh, the battery's getting ready to die on this. I think I might have, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes left. So I don't know how long this video is going to be. And this video is just going to be me sitting here talking to you guys. Makes it real easy editing for me, doesn't it? And I'll leave those mistakes in there that I just made just because it makes it easier editing. But let's get to the topic at hand. If you want to do this lifestyle, if you want to live in a van and travel, or just live in a van and work, and you have pets, dogs in particular, I'm just going to stay on the dogs thing. If you have dogs, what is that like? It's not easy. Remember, for me, these two guys are the most important when it comes to me living in a van. And they would be if I was living in a house too. But when it comes to the van, it's day and night care for the dogs. It's just not me not paying attention to them. If the weather's crappy, they still have to go to the bathroom. You know, if it's pouring down rain, I've got to get them out. I got to put my rain gear on and I've got to take them out to the bathroom. Now, what does that mean when we get back into the van? I've got to take all my rain gear and put it up front in the driver's seat. And then I have to towel these dogs off to get them to not be wet. Because when they're wet, living in a box like this and the roof vent fan can't be open because of the rain, I may or may not fix that issue later on down the road by the roof vent guard that goes over it where you can have it open in the rain. Don't know if I'm going to do that yet. But whether that roof vent fan was open or closed, wet dogs, they tend to really stink up a van quickly. And these dogs fart quite a bit, so they stink up a van that way as well. But it's constant care. The first thing in the morning what I do is I take the dogs out. And I take them out so they can go both, 1 and 2. Now that might happen fairly quickly or it might take a half an hour. Depending on the weather and the location, that's what I might get them done. But at some point near to when I took them out, they've got to be taken out for exercise. So I like to get them about a mile to a 1.5 mile walk every morning. So that's about 30 to 45 minutes. Or take them to a dog park so they can run and chase and have that stimulus about being around other dogs. So I've got to research where a dog park is and take them there. If there's one within engine braking, if there's one within 10, 15 miles, maybe 20 miles, then I'll take them straight there. And if there's not one, then I am taking them for a walk, and it's basically just walking in circles inside of a 1/4 mile near the van because I don't want to leave the van by itself, because we know that my van has been broken into in the past and I'm still gun shy from that. But that's not it for them. They've got to be fed twice a day, and then they got to go to the bathroom I try to get them outside. If I'm locked up in the van like I was at Cooper Amputee Lifestyle's house for a week, where I couldn't move because I had a broken window, I like to get them out, and it was raining constantly there, raining. I like to get them out every 4 hours for at least a bathroom break. And if it's not raining, I'll take them for a walk. And I like to get them some exercise before they go to sleep. It's not as important as the beginning of it, getting them exercise in the morning, but they need that exercise at night. Because let's just think about it. This is a 75 to 80 square foot house. And this is a gigantic dog cage on wheels. Would you want to leave your dogs in a cage, even if you were in that cage with them, for 10, 12 hours out of the day? No, nobody would want to do that. So opening this door and letting them run around is perfect. Now, what I also do with my dogs when I'm in BLM area or in a camp spot or something like that, one of my huge things that I like to do is I have this 20-yard tether for 2 dogs. The 1 yard or 1 rope apiece, 20 yards long with a collar connector on it. And I have a chain at the other end, and the chain goes around the wheel of my vehicle. And then I just let them run around in that area with that on. And when they're doing that, I'm sitting outside with this chair that I'm sitting here and my camping table. I'm sitting there, I'm reading a book, I'm watching YouTube, I'm just looking at the scenery or anything, but I'm hanging out with my dogs and I'm letting them experience as much outside as possible. I think that's the key. When you live in a van, try to let your dogs experience this door open and them outside of it as much as you possibly can. Now, I've only had to work for 2.5 months while I was living in a van. And during that time, because that's before I started traveling and quit that job. During that time, it was around 0 degrees to 20 degrees Fahrenheit every single day. It was January and February and the first 2 weeks of March in Ohio. That's the coldest time in Ohio. That's for those 6 weeks. That's the coldest that it gets. Actually, that'd be 10 weeks. For those 10 weeks, that's the coldest period of time. And there were some times it was -5 degrees. So when I was working, even if I wasn't working, I didn't have the option to leave the door open and hang out because it's just too cold. So we spent most of the time in here. I did get them out for a walk twice a day, a half an hour each time, and it's cold. I had to really bundle up to be able to do that. But then again, they still need their exercise. And that was a smaller van than I had back then. So if I were to be working, living in this van with these dogs, what I would have to make sure is that they had plenty of ventilation, roof vent fan with plenty of power for that thing to run the 8 to 10 hours that I would be in working. And I would also have to have the availability to come out every single break, 2 breaks during the day and 1 during lunch, and spend that time with them. First break, it's running straight to the van, taking them for a walk. You only get 15 minutes usually, putting them back in the van and going back to work. The breaks aren't for you. The breaks are now for the dog. Now the lunchtime, the same thing. I would come out to the van and I used to get an hour. And I know a lot of people only get a half an hour. So I would come out to the van. First thing I would do is I would take them for a walk. I would feed them and then I would feed myself. And usually I had about 15 to 20 minutes to just kind of hang out with them before I went back. And the last break of the day, rinse and repeat, come out, let them out, and do this. Get off of work, immediately take them for a walk, come back, and then go to bed, rinse and repeat. So if I was living in a van while working, it would be exponentially more time consuming to take care of these dogs and more difficult. But would I stop living van life if I had a job taking care of these dogs? Absolutely not. I just wouldn't be able to experience all the travel that you guys have been a part of and I've been a part of with these dogs. That's the only thing that I wouldn't be able to experience. But believe me, every single day that I had off, if I was working, see ya, I'm driving somewhere. So that probably would have been somewhere in Tennessee or Georgia, Alabama, or something like that, because I can get to Knoxville, Tennessee from where I used to live in 7 hours, and I can get down to Georgia within about 14. So I would be going somewhere warmer for those 2 days, even though most of that time would have been driving. But there would be times that I would hang out and just stay in Ohio. Heat is important for dogs too. So what I did for heat when I lived in a van and I was working, and the dogs were in here while I was in working, is I used to have, until it got stolen, a Ryobi 1800 watt gas generator. And same thing, I would put a chain through the handle of it, the chain would go around the tire and I'd lock it up. And that generator would run powering a space heater. Now with this Reflectix, but on the other van I had Reflectix just like this, with that, it kept it 60 degrees in here and could run for 5 hours without filling the gas tank. So I would run it, and then at lunchtime I'd fill it up. It'd probably only take about maybe a half a gallon, quarter to a half a gallon. I would need to fill it, and I would fill it and I'd go back into work. Now if I ran that space heater on low, it would stay 50 degrees in here, which is still fine, more than fine, and that could have ran for 9 hours and I wouldn't have had to fill it at all. And sometimes I was able to actually stretch that out to 11 hours. And how I know that is there's a phone app for Ryobi that tells you how much gas you have in your tank, how many watts you are pulling, and how long from the fuel remaining in your tank, hours wise and minutes wise, it would take to be empty and go off. So that was hugely important. So if you're going to get a gas generator, I would suggest that that one by Ryobi that has the Bluetooth. So making sure the dogs have heat or making sure the dogs have cool. Now, if I was working in the winter time, living in this van, and I had to go park my vehicle at work while it was 100 degrees outside, I would take that same gas generator and I would power one of those standalone air conditioners that you can roll and find a way to exhaust it out of there, and I would keep it 70 degrees, 80 degrees inside the van at least, running it off that power generator. Now there is another option if you insulate your van well. It's called the Zero Breeze Mark II. I have the Mark I, haven't tried it out yet. It's actually a gift from a friend of mine. It's basically on loan, and I'll be doing a review of that once I getting to a temperature where I need to do a review on that. And it's probably better that I do it in the summertime, because that's when people are going to be needing reviews of portable air conditioners. What's nice about the Zero Breeze Mark II is it runs off 12 watts. You can run it off your cigarette adapter. You can run it off what I have, which is 12 watts of DC power on a grid here. Or you could even run it off a Jackery battery, 12 watts. And I don't think it pulls more than 100 watts per hour, but I'd have to do the review to know that. So living with pets, what you're going to have to consider is them first over everything. Making sure they have enough food, enough water, and they're comfortable. That's the most important. And then live your van life secondary after that. So if that's something that you guys thinking that you can do, I would suggest living for about a week to 10 days or 2 weeks in a van, even though you still have a house or an apartment, and see if you can do that. Live the van life for 2 weeks with dogs. See if you can do it. If it's not too hard on you, then make the decision if you're going to live in a van full time, because you could still buy a van, build it out when you have an apartment or a house, and you can always keep that as your vehicle to drive back and forth to work from your house or apartment, and still use that to take trips around the United States when you do take vacation, or whenever time is sufficient for you to leave for a couple days. Just having this van all around in any lifestyle, I think, is probably the best, most versatile vehicle on the planet, because you can live in it, you can drive it to work, it gets 20 miles to the gallon, or other vans like the van that Sam has. It's going to last him forever, and he can use that as a daily commute if he had a job. So yeah, that's my whole bit on what it's like to live in a van with two dogs, Barrett and Bella, somewhere over there. I can't really see because the camera's far away. And they love it. They think this is a permanent car ride. They love to get out of the van and go exercise, and when we're done, they love to get back in. Bella's always sitting in the front seat, not always, but probably a good portion of the time, and she's just watching the world go by and getting scenery. So do it for 2 weeks with your pets. Be mindful of them always first, then decide if you can live in a van and travel, or just live in a van and work with a couple pets. That's my advice to you guys. I'm going to lock this video up now. It looks like we've been going for about it says 18 minutes on here, but I might cut little parts out. I don't know. So we'll see you on the next video, which should be tomorrow and Tuesday, the Words Are Hard podcast at 5 p.m. Pacific. Saturday, the Across the Pond podcast at 10 a.m. Pacific. Just subtract 3 or add 3 hours, and that's your Eastern time. All right, guys, the dogs and I are out of here. Peace!